This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
You are listening to the longest running, weekly, episodic comic book podcast in all Place to Be Nation.
Broadcasting from the state-of-the-art L-shaped studios at beautiful and serene Ho-Ho-Loon Plaza in Vancouver, British Columbia. Greg Phillips and Nick Duke are the Hard-Traveling Fanboys.
Place to Be Nation pop listeners, you are invited to, well, what else can I call it but a very special episode of the Hard-Traveling Fanboys.
You are invited to come in the back door.
Yes, you are listening right now to the longest running weekly episodic comic book podcast in all of Place to Be Nation. But you're supposed to be listening to an episode of the Long Book Hunters.
Stop us if you've heard this before, but we were supposed to do a long book hunt this week, and we didn't.
And here's why. Now,
yes, please tell us more.
Now, the book in question that we are committed to doing is a well-regarded, revered book, or a critical darling, a classic, some terrific comics, one might say. Written by Kurt Busiek, illustrated by the illustrious George Perez. And it's a little book called The Avengers. You may have heard of it. But see, here's the problem. This book is the first trade collection is 11 issues in length. 11 issues of terrific comics. Easy to read, right? For most. I am a slow reader. This has been well established.
He's not just a slow reader. He is a literal double reader. He reads every single panel twice.
Yes, that is correct. That is how I read comics. It is how I have always read my comics. I read everything twice. So it takes me at least twice as long, if not more than that, actually, at times, to read comics. And that's with actual physical comics. Now, imagine, if you will, this is just hypothetically speaking, imagine if you've recently acquired a piece of technology and you were excited because the only reason you wanted that particular piece of technology was so that you could read books on Marvel Unlimited. Now imagine if you get this piece of technology and you are able to utilize it, and it works great. And then imagine that you take it home and you try to fire up Avengers by Kurt Busiek and George Perez, only to find out that you can't read it on this piece of technology.
Now, see, this is where DC is really just changing the game. If this were DC universe, you would be able to just pull the comic up on your television and read it there.
I could do that if I wanted to. And who's to say that I wouldn't want to?
The demand for that is extremely high, I feel.
I think so. I think that's the wave of the future. Mm-hmm. And what is not the wave of the future is my piece of technology. So, all that being said, all that rigmarole pushed to the side, if you will, let's just imagine then that you cannot read this on your tablet thing. So now you have to turn to your trusty old iPhone. Now, typically, this would not be a problem. This is how I read all of our Marvel Unlimited books, is through my iPhone, panel by panel, guided view. The problem is, George Perez, I have realized, is not the artist to go panel by panel on an iPhone with, because there is so much detail, there's so much going on at one time, you really can't do it that way. Or at least, I can't do it that way. Because it took me, gentlemen, well, I don't want to spoil our guest yet, but it took me a week to read one issue in this format because I was getting befuddled by everything that was happening. I didn't know who the characters were, which didn't help. And that brings us to today's episode, so I'll circle back around to that. there was so much going on at one time that I found myself just studying each individual panel and getting lost in what was happening in the greater story. So, I say all that to say we have kicked that long book hunt to September, when I'll try to tackle it in the next month and hopefully have time to do so, and we'll find a way to utilize my piece of technology to do so. But in the meantime,
you keep calling it a piece of technology. He has a Surface Pro.
It's got a USB, Nick.
This is the longest intro. We haven't even explained what we're doing.
No, we haven't. Because what we're doing here today is because I didn't know, and I know for a fact Nick isn't going to have any idea who most of these characters are. So I said, before we even delve into this book, we need more background info. Let us reach out. Go ahead, Nick.
No, go ahead.
Let us reach out to a friend of the show, a friend of the audience, a friend of Place to Be Nation, a member of the Place to Be Nation comics team, a man with a knowledge of the Avengers so deep that it almost rivals his knowledge of the X-Men. And let's get him good and liquored up. What we are introducing to you today, folks, is something of a backdoor pilot.
Yes.
For a potential future show here on Place.
Separate show, not a recurring segment.
Not an episode
of HTF. No.
This would be its own show, in which I, the straight-laced, boring Greg Phillips, will host a podcast with an array of inebriated guests as they attempt to enlighten me on blind spots in the world of comics. And so what better time than to talk about some of the most obscure characters in Avengers history, characters that I had never heard of, that I don't know who they are, how they became Avengers, why they became Avengers, or any of that. Well, what better time than right now? So our guest, Tim Capel, I know that was a gigantic intro. You've been sitting there the whole time. But, sir, welcome to this pilot episode of what we are tentatively calling Drunk Comics History.
Well, I am Todd Weber. Thanks a lot for having me on. I know everything there is to know about the Avengers. And if I get anything wrong, you tweet me at Todd Weber Guitar on Twitter.
There you go.
Very, very glad to be here. I don't know. Is it against protocol to announce a backdoor pilot as such? Like, I understand we're kind of the family matters to the perfect strangers. That is the Hard-Traveling Fanboys. And which of you would? Does that make me the Reginald Bell Johnson?
You know, I think you would be the Reginald Bell Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do have something in common, at least. You know, both of you, your predilections in your personal life. I was going to say, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if this goes badly, which it will, I mean,
right? It already has. Many would say
this used to be a great podcast. I mean, it really was. You guys put in work, a lot of effort.
150 something episodes, yeah.
Excellent
almost 3
episodes,
years.
Yeah. And here we are. I mean, when people point to the downfall of this program, I mean, this episode, it's a line in the sand. You can draw. So,
well, and you know, it's interesting because you're not just responsible for ruining it by being on this show. You were one of the co-conspirators who kind of came up with the entire idea for Drunk Comics History in the first place.
Well, that's true. And while I made this joke already in the live chats, I'm not above making it again. And what's happened here is that I am like not only am I Reginald Bell Johnson, but I'm also the personification of the WWE universe, the audience in the front row. That as Greg is delivering a backdrop suplex to Nick Duke on the barricade, he turns to the audience and screams, "You did this!"
This is your fault. I'm going to kick you where your appendix used to be.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, that's where we are. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but Greg, I'm sorry. You see what you have to work with here.
Hey, we're gonna soldier through it, and we're gonna make this what we can out of it. We're gonna squeeze this into a diamond, or however the hell that works. I don't know.
What? I mean, let's just jump right into it. I have a question leading off, and I'm not gonna say much during the show because again, it's the backdoor pilot for Greg's future show. Far be it from me to step on his toes, but Tim, let me lead off with this question. Tim, what's the best era of Avengers comics, and why is it the Brian Michael Bendis era?
Oh, see, now we had to institute some safeguards here and some safe words. I feel like, and that is an era that Greg Phillips has just decreed as off limits. I said I'd love to tackle it. My great era of Avengers, love those characters, all the new introductions, but Greg, he said he just wasn't going to go there. Just not going to happen. So.
It's true. I said that for our purposes, the Avengers.
As I explained to you, if I'm an expert on any era of Avengers, it's the post 2005 Brian Michael Bendis new era of Avengers.
Well, new and mighty. Let's not forget mighty. There was both new
mighty,
and there was mighty.
Personally,
not to be confused with West Coast.
Right.
No.
Personally, I like the post Bendis era of the Avengers, or as I like to call it, the uncanny Avengers era.
Oh yeah.
Now see, there's another uncanny Avengers. Tim, what's that all about?
Well, that I am a double expert in. You see, and that's when they added such great additions to the team as I believe Manifold and.
Wait, stop right there.
Validator.
I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there.
And
Manifold?
And Pod.
No. What is a manifold? And
Smasher. Look, they were on the Sporkle quiz I took 2 days ago. I can't tell you much beyond that.
Damn it.
I want to know more about Pod.
Pod. Yeah, consult the Sporkle quiz. Consult Russell Sellers, as a matter of fact. I think we're getting into the Jonathan Hickman run when we talk Manifold and Validator and Pod and these names that...
Validator sounds familiar.
Sounds like a good name.
Validator sounds like Vindicator from Alpha Flight, wasn't it?
It sounds like it. It's kind of maybe a play on that. It's one of those situations where a lot of these names either get reused or repurposed or shifted in such a way that you might not even realize it's a character you already know. And that might be the case for me.
Well, mentioning that Sporkle quiz, that's a great way to segue, because that Sporkle quiz unleashed a bevy of names at me that I have never encountered before, some that I wasn't even sure if they were even words. And then I realized in that first issue of Busiek and Perez Avengers, they're throwing a lot of these people out there that were Avengers maybe in the 90s and the 80s, even in the 70s that I wasn't familiar with. So I'm looking through this list of Avengers, and I'm going to go through some names here. And when I find one that I don't know much about, I'm going to pitch to you, Tim, and see if you can fill me and Nick in a little bit on who this character is and why they came to be.
I see.
So starting out, of course, we've got the core group that you guys are talking about on the soon-to-be award-winning Marvel Age podcast, available right here at Place to Be Nation Pop. Visit us in the archives on Podbean, iTunes, and wherever you get your podcasts. Anyhow, you've got your Iron Man, your Thor, your Ant-Man, everybody's favorite, the Wasp, the Hulk. That stands to reason, right? Captain America, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch, sure. Then we get to the first one that I don't know personally anything about. And you guys both probably know more about this one than I do, certainly. But tell me about the Swordsman.
The Swordsman.
Or is he just Swordsman?
Well, the Swordsman, either way, it kind of works. So, Swordsman, very early appearances in Avengers, going back to the 60s. I think we probably first saw him in Marvel Age, 19... The episodes we just did in 66, but he appeared before
Yeah, but he
that.
was as a foil. Yeah, we just saw him in Marvel Age on our reading list because wasn't he one of the two that Black Widow picked up to form her little anti-Avengers gang, and then of course that didn't go well. So I didn't actually know that he wound up being an Avenger. So I'm getting a little preview of some future Marvel Age stuff.
Very good, yeah. So he had appeared before that in 65. He was actually, his name was Jack Duquesne. Great name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of the mentor to young Clint Barton, Hawkeye. So they kind of both worked at this circus outfit where Hawkeye was had his earliest appearances and began his own villainous career. And so Swordsman later on, kind of following in Hawkeye's footsteps to a certain extent, after training Hawkeye, he became an antagonist first to the Avengers. Later very briefly tried to join them. That didn't work out. And that's when he hooked up with the outfit in the issue that we covered on Marvel Age, which was the Madame Natasha, future Black Widow, and Power Man, Eric Yostin, future Atlas of the Thunderbolts. And they were kind of a poor man's Masters of Evil type deal. But to make a, not that long, but we don't have all the time in the world here, somewhat medium-length story short, he did reform and wound up joining the Avengers in his own right. He would marry another character who I would guess you're not terribly familiar with, then die and be reanimated as a sentient tree. Does that about cover it?
Whoa.
Burying the lead here a little bit.
Lead there, yeah.
Tell us more about this sentient tree.
What?
Swordsman is Groot?
Swordsman is Groot. So, okay. So, gosh, now we're intersecting with other characters, and it's getting a bit difficult here.
Well, we can follow the rabbit hole as far as it goes.
Sure. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
All right. So the character I'm alluding to is Mantis, and Mantis is a okay. So you're probably familiar with the name and broadly the character of Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2 specifically, yes, into Avengers Infinity War as well. She's there's a lot to get into with Mantis. All right, so she is a Vietnamese martial artist at her core, I suppose. A Steve Englehart creation, Steve Englehart favorite. He kind of went through this Asian fetishization thing. Like, even after he stopped writing her and went to DC, he kind of recreated the character in a different form. Came back to anyway. We're getting off.
He did that with a lot of stuff.
He
carrying
did.
it from one company to the other.
So, anyway, she. Oh God. See, now I'm hitting another rabbit hole. All right.
So Mantis, sentient tree.
No, not there yet. So anyway, seeing how much I need to get into here. Basically, she is believed by interstellar races that she could become the celestial Madonna. Now, what this means is she will birth a child who will become like all powerful, the quote, most important being in the universe. So
that age-old comics trope of the most important being in the universe that you haven't known about until just now.
Yes, and what that amounts to is everybody wants to fuck her.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I can see it.
Which is complicated by the fact that she spent some time as a prostitute, and that's actually where she met the swordsman. in that line of work, and she kind of, she kind of helps him through some of his issues as he's making his amends and rejoining the Avengers. And she becomes an Avenger in her own right as well. And I mean, in terms of her powers, it's we talked about martial arts, right? She can whip some ass. She has accelerated healing, some vague astral projection, kind of sort of telepathy type deal. So
not like she is in the movie.
Right, not like she is in the movie. In that respect, pretty similar powers wise. She does have a bit of a fling with the Vision as well. I trust I don't have to tell you who the Vision is.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good because that could get complex as well. Now, of the guys who are trying to court and procreate with Mantis, God, that sounds gross, is Kang. We all know about Kang, right?
That's right. Now he is Ezekiel, the leader of the tribe that is going to help Rick Grimes defeat Negan and the Saviors, right?
Sure. Yes. That's you're spot on. Couldn't have said it better. So, the swordsman, he gets killed by Kang, and where this gets into the sentient tree business is there's this this alien race called the Kotati. What's wrong? Why are you laughing, Nick?
It's a funny word, Kotati. I like it.
Now, she actually marries a member of this race, the Kotati. And what had happened was, being as they are sentient trees, it kind of just reanimates the body of the swordsman without, directly bringing him back to life.
Oh, wait. Okay, so I'm sorry. Not to jump in here. The Kotati themselves are sentient trees?
More or less, yeah. I mean, they're aliens.
And Mantis married one of them.
She fell in love with a tree person?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So it's kind of like the Evil Dead scene, but like, a more loving version of that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, how does their alliance bring the swordsman back?
Well, it doesn't. In fact, see, she was married.
How did they deal with the splinters? Is what I'm wondering.
Okay, well, that may be another question. That may be more of a you'd have to hit up Stan Lee in the mall to get an answer to that.
Thank you.
He had nothing to do with this, so that probably wouldn't work. So anyway, she was in love with the swordsman. He dies. He gets killed. The Kotati uses his body as a vessel, essentially, in order to consummate their love.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, they are able to mate, and she does bear a child, and he's kind of a fuck up, actually. The kid, he's kind of like teenage Groot, to be honest with you. Just not into it, and you'd see more of him actually later on in the 90s, in a Avengers miniseries that was written by Steve Englehart. But that's pretty much Mantis's deal. She's a character that comes in and out of Avengers history, but at this point has been more closely associated, I think, with the cosmic characters that populate the Avengers as well, even though she started as a pretty Earth-based kind of centered character.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Interesting. Now, one of the questions that pops up here is, who do you think, if you were fantasy casting from the history of movies would play the swordsman Jacques Duquesne, because, and then I want you to explain to me why it would be Gerard Depardieu.
Well, he's a nice looking, he's a handsome young old man. Actually, my real answer would be 1987 Mandy Patinkin from the Princess Bride.
Interesting.
He looks not unlike Jacques Duquesne.
I could see that. He looks a Jacques Duquesnean. He has a Jacques Duquesnean type face.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I got one I don't know anything about, even though he's a fairly popular member of the Avengers. Because I tried to read his wiki one time and it didn't make heads. I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
Is it Dane Whitman?
No, I was going to ask.
Dane Whitman's a favorite.
Oh, we'll get to him in just a minute.
No, let's just go ahead and do Dane Whitman then.
Okay, Dane Whitman, the Black Knight, a character that I don't think I've ever read an appearance by.
Oh my god!
Now wait a minute, Greg. We did watch the Black Panther animated series where one of the Black Knights was going on a crusade to conquer Wakanda and bring God to the savages.
Okay. Yes. So there is a villainous Black Knight who first appeared with the Masters of Evil. He actually dies. He didn't have a ton of appearances, and I'm trying to remember when exactly that happened. But bottom line, the villainous Black Knight, Nathan Garrett was his name. He sort of passed the mantle of the Black Knight onto his nephew, that being Dane Whitman. Now, Dane Whitman was actually a scientist. He was very much
Wow.
In the vein of 60s Marvel.
A Marvel character that's a scientist?
Who knew, right? Could you believe it? And so basically Whitman takes up the identity of the Black Knight to atone for his uncle's evil deeds. Now, you do get into some time travel shenanigans where Dane Whitman, or his spirit at least, well, embodying him spirit sometimes, would travel back into the Middle Ages and fight in the Crusades. This has become a rather problematic aspect of his character, given, what the Crusades were all about, and a little fucked up part of history, right? We like to gloss over that now. But, bottom line, the spirit of his ancestor, Sir Percy of Scandia,
Yes.
bequeathed him. You know who that is, of course.
Of course, yeah.
In all the history books. Bequeaths Dane Whitman the ebony blade. Ebony blade. Now that's a sword. If you couldn't tell by the name. And this sword.
Now this would not sit well with the swordsman. The fact that Black Knight is moving in on his
This
territory.
is a good point. We can get into some other intersections here. It gets fun. Now this sword had a thirst for human souls. So you figure this thing's been used in the Crusade. It's seen a lot of action. I mean, let's face it. It's feasted on a lot of souls. And so this thing is a little bit corrupt and kind of a corrupting influence. Now, that being the case, where he comes into the Avengers is Dane Whitman, assists them in a battle against Kang the Conqueror.
There he is again.
Yeah, he's going to pop up a lot. Which, as you do, that's actually a really good story, and I hope we read it in Marvel Age, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in that, a lot of cool character appearances. But he did not actually formally join the Avengers during that adventure. He kind of hangs around on the sidelines, makes appearances here and there, actually does some stuff with the Defenders.
I think I actually knew that. I don't know how, but...
Well, he spends a good portion of his existence in the present day as a statue And that's because the ebony blade, the curse of this sword, turns him into a statue.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's a shame. Which the Avengers kind of just set out on their lawn, while people are none the wiser. Yeah.
Dang,
like
he got turned into a statue.
Lawn ornament. You know,
I don't know if
you got your you got your pink flamingos, and you've got your Dane Whitman statues.
Totally. Ollie's been a statue for 20 years. Nobody knew.
I never knew that. Now, while he was a statue in body, his spirit was still spending some time inhabiting old ancestors back in Middle Age Crusade times.
Mm.
So, eventually, through the help of a time-traveling Doctor Strange, I was gonna use a different reference that would probably be lost on people. So never mind. Yeah, Doctor Strange helps restore his spirit to his body and restore his body from stone to flesh and blood. He joins the Avengers proper, this being now in the 80s, the rather acclaimed Roger Stern, John Buscema run, where he had a good little tenure, good little stint with the Avengers. And that's a great creative team. They were in the I don't know if either of you would have encountered this. There was an Avengers versus X-Men miniseries, 4 issues in the 80s, which that was like the Australian Outback iteration of the X-Men, so somewhat.
Yeah, I haven't read that one. I read the Fantastic Four and X-Men one from back in the day, but
Okay.
I haven't read the Avengers one.
This was like just a year after that.
Okay.
And the X-Men FF one is really good. The Avengers X-Men one is okay. But he had a prominent role on the team during that. The Avengers Under Siege storyline, which was the Masters of Evil taking out the team and taking over the mansion, which is a great collection trade paperback you would do well to read. This all comes crashing down when the curse of the ebony blade rears its head again. Namor uses the sword to... Here we go. Alright, so Namor himself... Why are there so many fucked up marriages here? Namor was married to a member of Alpha Flight called Marina. I never know how to say it. Now, anyway, she turned into a giant sea monster. There's no other way to put it.
You can't sugarcoat that.
She became a Leviathan.
Now let me ask you this: was this marriage of Namor and this woman from the Alpha Flight, was this a result of John Byrne writing both?
No, this is a little bit deeper into Alpha Flight's history, so John Byrne wouldn't have been responsible for that one. I'm trying to think when they actually got married. Was that a Roger Stern? I think it must have been. If it wasn't Roger Stern, maybe it was Bill Mantlo doing Alpha Flight. Anyway, it doesn't matter. John Byrne would not come into Avengers lore until somewhat later. Not long after this, but a little bit later. Anyway, Namor uses the ebony blade to kill the Leviathan that was formerly his wife. And that kind of overloads the sword with all this, death. And I guess Leviathans have very large souls. Because this is bad news for Dane Whitman, and he starts turning into a statue once again. Slowly.
Oh my God. What are the odds?
Very slowly. He's turning, like it was kind of his arms and legs at first, and he's sort of hobbling around. I'm not kidding.
And you're thinking to yourself, if it's happening to you, you're like, well, maybe it'll pass,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a temporary condition. You're not expecting, the odds are against, I would think, Tim. The odds would be against you turning entirely to stone once more.
Yeah.
You would think. I mean, that once in a lifetime, but in his case, twice in a lifetime.
Oh.
And eventually he does get better, but the curse, which has been, kind of revived, reinstated with his sword, that wasn't going to stand. And he could no longer use this as his signature weapon. So you know what he takes up instead, Greg? I think you know this. He uses a replacement to the ebony blade, that being a lightsaber.
Oh, yes.
That's right. It's called a photon sword. And,
but it's really a lightsaber.
It's really a lightsaber. It's a yellow lightsaber is what it is. And this, there was a little bit of gap between him turning into stone, turning into a statue the second time, and his return to the Avengers, which would have been the early 90s. This, it's one of my favorites, the Bob Harris, Steve Epting run of Avengers. The leather jackets, Let's Be Image Comics, X-Men Clones Avengers era. Your boss is a big fan of that too, I understand.
Yes, he's a huge fan of that era. Yep.
That's right. And so Dane Whitman makes his return now wielding this photon sword / lightsaber. He gradually starts to shed some of his signature accoutrements, like his cape. We don't need that anymore. His Buccaneer boots, nope. We're gonna wear metal boots now because it's the 90s. And we're gonna throw a leather jacket on again. It's a lettered Avengers jacket, very sleek, very nice.
Is it a Daddy Tony Schiavone leather jacket?
Well, it's a brown. It's more of a bomber jacket. So yeah, I don't think Tony wore anything along those lines. But they didn't give him out to just anybody. I mean, it was very nice, and lots of pockets. I'm sure. Lacking for pouches on his costume. You had a lot of pockets in that thing.
Enough to fit a lot of plasma grenades in if you need them.
Oh, no doubt, and condoms because this is the 90s. And he will have many romantic entanglements. He still wears the helmet, which looks a little. I don't know. They maybe should have done something with that. Now, unhelmeted, he starts to resemble, in my mind anyway, 1993 circa Lethal Weapon 3 Mel Gibson.
With the long hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could send you a screenshot or something. It would take too much time, but I believe you would agree with me. And he becomes the term Mary Sue, right? When it's applied to a lot of female characters, somewhat derisively. He's more of a Barry Stew at this point because I don't know, but man, Bob Harris loved him some Dane Whitman. I mean, he becomes the sort of de facto field leader of this somewhat Detroit-esque era of Avengers. These weren't their best people, admittedly, and again, I have a lot of affinity for it. It's some of the earliest Avengers stuff that I read. Dane Whitman is the main protagonist, kind of the center of the team. He has a love triangle with Crystal of the Inhumans, who at the time you took a long pause and
because I didn't want to jump too far ahead, but in this issue that I just read, I believe that she is married to one Pietro Maximoff.
That's right,
a.k.a. Quicksilver.
She was married to him even at this time, but they were estranged. You see, Quicksilver was a member of X Factor, and they needed some time apart, basically. And while he had gone on to join X Factor. Crystal went on to join the Avengers proper as one of their new recruits. Not with little fanfare, she just kind of showed up one day and they announced she was their newest member. She worked out kind of well, had a good little run with the team. And although she was estranged from her husband, she was looking at Dane Whitman with lust in her eyes. Who wouldn't? We're talking early 90s Mel Gibson.
That's right.
Now,
she wanted to be introduced to his new member.
Meanwhile, I mean, they're all trying to throw it at him. Let's face it. There is another Avenger who might be on your list. The Eternal, by the name of Cersei. She's a brunette, so she's kind of the I guess the Veronica to Crystal's Betty. You know, we got to get more Riverdale in here.
Oh, we need all the Riverdale. I think Nick in particular needs as much Riverdale as possible.
Needs more of that in his life. Need to work that into every episode from this point on. I mean, let's face it, we've hit the shitter. I mean, as previously discussed. So
fuck him.
Cersei is again an all-powerful Eternal. Has eyes for Dane Whitman. She is having some issues mentally because of an earlier adventure we could get into, but we're already getting kind of bogged down here. Where she did something that Eternals are not really supposed to do, and now is having all kinds of delusions. She thinks she's losing her mind, and so okay, I don't think I can say this right, but she chooses Dane Whitman, who she's kind of been flirting with, kind of been making out. They're keeping it cash, you know, whatever. She chooses him as her Gan Chosen. I don't know how to say it. That basically means her chosen one, and they become bonded as soulmates, essentially. And this is done in an effort to preserve her mental stability as much as possible. You know, describing this, it sounds kind of problematic as well. Yeah. Perhaps this run would not withstand a rereading very favorably. But that's okay. She eventually has a hard time still keeping it together, and after an epic battle with then 90s Avengers adversaries, the Gatherers, basically commits herself into exile in another dimension. Dane Whitman, self-sacrificing as he is, not so much the Black Knight now, kind of White Knighting it at this point. See what I did there? He joins her in exile. You know where he's going to pop up next? In the Ultraverse. Blank stares all around.
Now, Nick, I know you're very familiar with the Ultraverse.
I sure am, Stevie.
You remember Malibu Comics?
Oh yes. Now we're talking, Tim. I had the Malibu Comics, or Malibu, if you will, comics, Street Fighter. Do you remember that comic?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think it was packaged with like a Street Fighter game or some kind of promotional deal.
That's correct. And in the very first issue, Ken gets beaten to death.
By the Black Knight.
Well, in this case, it was a Black Knight. It was Balrog.
Oh, yes.
He literally, he dies. Maybe I misremembered it, but yeah, they have this big fight, and Ken, and it's like drawn really like, you know, early 90s, like gruesome, you know? So like imagine being a kid and you're expecting something like the game Street Fighter, and then like one of your favorite, well, he wasn't ever one of my favorite characters, that's a lie. No. But Ken Masters gets beaten to the point where he seemingly passes away.
Excellent. I'm for it. I hope that's part of Malibu Comics Ultraverse continuity proper. And
I do too.
The reason I bring this up is because Marvel purchased Malibu Comics, and
I never knew
that. They tried to integrate certain titles, certain shared universe series from Malibu Comics into, not even into the Marvel Universe, but just to kind of fold them under the same multiverse, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take, of course. As part of that intra-promotional effort, they kicked Black Knight and Cersei into the Ultra Force series, which was that imprint's kind of own version of the Avengers. And I think he ended up becoming the leader of the Ultra Force briefly. That was where I dipped out, to be honest with you. I couldn't really follow beyond that point. He does make his way back to the Marvel Universe proper. Gains new powers. He no longer has the lightsaber or the ebony blade. He is given new abilities as like the protector of Avalon by the Lady of the Lake. All this stuff that I didn't love it, but that led to his appearances in a much loved series of mine, Heroes for Hire. In the late 90s, this while the big heavy hitters of the Marvel Universe, Avengers, Fantastic Four, are enduring the Heroes Reborn stunt, and they are no longer in circulation, no longer interacting with the heroes we know and love.
Yeah, they're in Franklin Richards' pocket universe.
That's right. They're in Franklin Richards' blue ball, and you had such newcomers to the fore as the Thunderbolts, right? And Heroes for Hire, which was made up of some kind of the scraps of the Avengers plus Power Man and Iron Fist. Really cool series by John Ostrander and an early Pasquale Ferry.
John Ostrander is kind of an underrated creator, if you think about it.
He's awesome, yeah.
Yeah,
love him.
Suicide Squad, The Spectre, and then of course his run with Heroes for Hire.
Now, I will point out that the prominence of Dane Whitman as the Black Knight in the early 90s cannot be understated. I mean, he became so front and center in Avengers mainstream, East Coast Avengers comics, let's say, because there's also the Avengers West Coast, which we can talk about. He got his own arch enemy. The Black Knight, longtime B-list supporting character of the Avengers, got his own arch enemy in a Marvel annual. That character being the Blood Wraith. Now, if you're wondering what happened to the Ebony Blade, that's where it landed with this guy he was a friend and squire to the Black Knight. He claimed the Ebony Blade for himself, became the Blood Wraith, and they had a really cool triple threat match, including Deadpool, in this one issue in 1993 that I remember very fondly. So we have Deadpool now brought into this tapestry, and I love the dude. He's a scientist. He's a ladies' man, sort of. He's a great hand-to-hand. Great hair. Oh my God, yeah. Hand-to-hand combatant. Excellent fighter. Just a jack of all trades. And he doesn't get a fair shake, I feel like.
I feel he's a strong parallel to someone in our Green Lantern fandom, though Nick and I, Jack T. Chance. Are you familiar with him?
Oh, a little bit.
Leather jacket, long, luxurious hair, a never say die attitude, multiple deaths and resurrections. I mean,
they should have amalgamated them.
They should have. That would have been interesting. And to tie it even further to the Green Lantern universe, I have read that Jeff Johns himself was a huge fan of the Black Knight. Were you aware of this, Tim?
No, he is?
Yeah. Evidently, Jeff Johns, one of his favorite Avengers of all time, is the Black Knight.
Why didn't he fucking write him in his Avengers run?
I don't know.
Was on for all of 5 minutes.
I don't know. I think he had plans for him, but he just never used him.
God damn it.
But nonetheless, Nick, you had a character that you were interested in that I interrupted earlier, and I apologize for that. And I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to tell me, fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. That's right. Character, not really obscure, I wouldn't say, but I tried to read the wiki entry once, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Tell me about Wonder Man, Tim.
Oh, Wonder Man. Okay, he had a very early appearance as well in the 60s. He was kind of manipulated into joining the Masters of Evil, so started out as a villain, perhaps reluctantly, was granted ionic powers by Baron Zemo. Is this where we're already losing you?
No,
ionic powers.
Yes. It basically
Power
made him
ion.
it made him indestructible and super strong.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of the gist of it. He dies like in that.
Yeah, this is
first
where
story.
this is where I start to get lost.
Okay, do you get lost because of the zombie resurrection angle? Or do
It's been a while since I tried to read the wiki, so I'm going to go on the ride with you, and you can get me lost and bring me back as many times as you like.
Okay, well, what's fortunate is he was an engineer, I want to say, and had a
shock of
brother.
shocks.
What?
I said shock of shocks.
Yes, not a scientist per se, but
No,
more
but closely related.
more like an industrial engineer
Oh.
type guy. So
I
anyway,
thought he was an actor.
he becomes an actor later on.
Okay.
Which
As
happens
Nick.
to a lot of engineers.
Yeah, I mean, as you do. I'll point out that Wonder Man, his name is Simon Williams, which is only important because he has a brother called Eric Williams. Now, Eric Williams, will go on to become the Grim Reaper. So, if you're wondering about or familiar with the Avengers villain Grim Reaper, that is Wonder Man's brother. So, this one's a little bit easier because he spends so much of his history actually dead. And now, slight detour in that his Simon Williams, his brain engrams, okay, follow me, are used to bring the Vision to life. So the Vision's personality is in his mind it's patterned after Wonder Man. He does not have his memories, does not identify as like a reborn, resurrected Wonder Man, but his mind served as like the template for the Vision. And they do some stuff with that once Wonder Man is brought back to life. So, anyway, he is brought back to life because being an ionic powered superhero, he was not so much dead as he was mostly dead and just in a restorative state, and is revived, goes on to join the Avengers proper, and eventually that leads to a stint with the West Coast Avengers / Avengers West Coast.
And isn't it ionic? Don't you think?
Okay, that got me. He has a gimmick, kind of a cool gimmick for a while, where he actually fears dying again. So he's kind of a reluctant superhero. He is not, the guy charging into battle. He's sort of hanging back and taking some shit from his teammates for not getting out there. Gets over that, and he will have his own solo series in the 90s, does Wonder Man. That lasts a good, I want to say, 30-some issues.
And can I just say, as a child of the 90s, I've mentioned many times I didn't grow up reading Avengers comics, so I don't know that I actually encountered him in the comics, but I definitely had his Marvel card, and I definitely would consider his look in the 90s to be somewhat iconic for that era. The T-shirt with a W on it and all that, you know?
Yeah, and he had his own little supporting cast, kind of a large supporting cast of characters who would never be seen again for the most part. And after his series, this is when he becomes an actor, by the way. He moves to L.A. There's a running gag where he doesn't have a car, and I don't know. It's one of those types of series. It's very... I'm trying to remember who wrote it. It almost seems like a Carl Kiesel. I know that Carl Kiesel did not write it, but if you're familiar with his writing, it's somewhat similar in that vein. Oh, you know what? Uh-oh. Did Gerard Jones write this?
Vince McMahon ear tug.
I don't think he did.
We will refrain, for the purposes of this podcast, from discussing the Young Avengers.
Okay. Very good. Very bad. Very.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. All right. So, Wonder Man. He continues or returns. He was still on the Avengers West Coast throughout this, but he will die once the Avengers West Coast dissolves and then quickly reforms as Force Works. I think I've mentioned them in the past a time or two.
Indeed.
In their very first issue, he blows up real good stopping a bomb. You know, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And he did his best, but he blew up. His ionic atoms, or his ions? I don't know. His bodily essence is dispersed. He is dead. Good and dead. He will... See, now it's going to spoil. It's going to spoil things because you're trying to read this acclaimed run of Avengers, Greg, that Wonder Man is not in because he's dead, of course.
Oh man.
And you know what? I'm going to stop the story there. You're just gonna have to keep reading.
I am going to keep reading. I'm looking forward to keeping reading. I've enjoyed this first issue greatly, so I'm looking forward to where it all goes. Well, that's
so just know that going into that reading, Wonder Man is dead. That's his status.
So, gosh, so he misses out on all the fun with Morgan Le Fay and various other sundry things that I don't want to spoil for Nick, but I will say, Nick, that I think that when you get started on this long book, you might enjoy it perhaps even more than I do because it's very Thor heavy from what I can tell, at least in the first issue.
Oh no! It was written by Gerard Jones.
Oh.
Art by Jeff Johnson. Writer Gerard Jones. Did he? Let's see how long. I think he stuck around for a while.
You know, I think in the course of our conversation, we might hit all of the famous Gerards. Mm-hmm. We've already talked Depardieu. Mm-hmm. We've already talked about Jones. I mean, how many more Gerards are there?
There are 29 issues of this series, all of them by Gerard Jones. So
what about the
that's
character?
That's a sobering conversation.
What about the character that arguably inspired this idea? What about Magdalene?
Did a spit take.
Yes, I encountered Magdalene in this first issue of the Busiek Perez run, and I said to myself, who in the hell is Magdalene?
Oh, well, this is amazing, because now we have to take it back to the Bob Harris Avengers once again. And funny fact, Magdalene was not a proper member of the Avengers. She was more of a, I don't know if you can even call her a reservist or an honorary member. She was
a hanger-on?
She was a hanger-on. And this is going to tie back nicely, in fact. So I mentioned the villainous team of the 90s, the Gatherers, right?
Right, well, yes.
Magdalene started out as a member of the Gatherers, and she had a lover on that team by the name of the Swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be thinking, well, isn't the Swordsman a corpse possessed by a tree at best? And this guy definitely was not that. He, in fact, this Swordsman was not even Jacques Duquesne. He was someone named Philip Jarvert. I'm doing terrible with these names that you read but never have to say.
He told me backstage you could call him Philip.
Okay, I'll get it right eventually.
Now, was he at least a swordsman?
He was a sword. He looked just like our swordsman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much indistinguishable. And so the Avengers are very thrown by this, very confused. Who are these guys? You know, this Magdalene character we've never met before. She's new to us, but Swordsman, he dead. So what's going on here? Turns out they are, of course, from an alternate Earth, not from Earth 616, but from Earth. Suck my dick. I don't know the.
Now you're speaking my language. When you start talking about alternate Earths, now I can start to pick up what you're dropping here. Because I know a little something about alternate Earths.
Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. It's this is a crisis on infinite podcasts here. Is what's happening.
That's right.
Now, so they are members of the Gatherers, who are composed of various characters, some of whom are counterparts of our Avengers, past and present, across various different alternate timelines. And they are led by a guy by the name of Proctor. Now, Proctor, in his home dimension, was in love with Cersei, who basically did not return his affections. He was so...
Let's bookmark Cersei for later.
Okay. Yes, so we mentioned Cersei in our Black Knight entry, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's an Eternal. Honestly, that's kind of all you really need to know about her. She is an Eternal, and yes, I'm recording.
Awesome.
Yes, the curtain is fully.
This isn't on the format sheet, folks.
Yes, we're pulling back the foreskin now and revealing how the sausage is made. In any case, after a brief Skype interruption just now, we're resetting, and what you need to understand about Cersei, the Eternal, somewhat long-standing member of the Avenger, in good standing, is that in Proctor's resident Earth, she pissed him off to such an extent that he decided he was going to go on a killing spree and wipe out every version of Cersei across the entire multiverse.
Damn, talk about a lover scorned.
Yeah, he was pissed. And there's a reveal to Proctor himself that I'm not going to give away. I know you're not going to read this shit, but some people might. And again, I don't know how it holds up necessarily to a modern reading, but we'll keep some of these things, close to the vest.
Close to the vest.
Yeah. With me. All right. Anyhow, so Magdalene and her betrothed swordsman, not Jacques Duquesne, but another guy, are members of the Gatherers, and they were being mentally manipulated by Proctor into serving his cause. So once they are captured by our Avengers, they kind of get rehabilitated, and they hang around the team, really in the background for a bit, never joining proper, but they are essentially good guys after that. And stick with them even after Proctor and the Gatherers and that whole business is out of the picture. So that's the gist of Magdalene and a bonus alternate reality swordsman.
Now, I have two questions here related to this, the end part of this story. Number one, did they ever think to team Proctor up with another villain named Gamble?
I would have to consult my my official Marvel handbook to tell you that. There has to be a character called Gamble, not to be confused with Gambit or Bandit. In some form or fashion, that sounds like a very 90s name, and I'm sure it never happened, but boy, it should have.
Question number two. This was part of who was writing this particular story arc?
Bob Harris.
At the end, Bob Harris. Was this directly before the Busiek run of Avengers?
It was and it wasn't. It was a while before that run, but later on, that Bob Harris Avengers stint would go wildly off the rails. You get into stuff like Avengers: The Crossing. You get the Teen Tony.
Oh my God!
You get the Wasp.
Oh, man.
The Wasp as an insect lady. You get Thor wearing metal pants and no shirt.
Metal pants.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
As you do. It's the 90s, man. So you start with metal boots and you just don't stop. And yeah, so Avengers was in a bad place by the end of that run. That's what leads into Onslaught. That's what leads into Heroes Reborn, where you come in as Heroes Return, and somewhat mysteriously, these characters are reverted to their more iconic appearances and characterizations. And
even though the adult Tony, we had been told, was an evil mastermind character, right?
An agent of Kang, yes, a sleeper agent, and had to be taken out, replaced by his teenage
counterpart,
earlier version of himself. Which, how does that work? I don't know.
Wait a minute. Did they basically just redo that story, but with Cyclops?
Not so much. I mean, adult Cyclops is just dead. He didn't have to be undone by his younger self or anything. I think his younger self gave him his older self a talking to, but that was about the extent of it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha. But so nonetheless, they were in a bad position. But without giving away, if it's possible, without giving away any of the Busiek and Perez stuff that I'm getting ready to read,
sure.
How long is Magdalene an Avenger?
She hangs around for probably, I don't know, 20-some issues, largely in the background.
Okay.
Again, doesn't really go on missions with them or anything, just sort of comes and goes as a supporting character, popping up occasionally.
Well, Nick, we've had a lot to process already to this point. What are some observations you can make about these some of these lesser known, more obscure members of the Avengers?
Oh man, we've run the gamut here. We've had alternate realities, we've had sentient trees, we've had vaginal splinters, and we've had Gerard Jones.
Whoa.
And I mean, just all these things. The Avengers have quite the sordid past, is all I can say, and hopefully at some point we will get a crash course in that via Busiek and Perez, if you ever get around to reading it.
Indeed. Hey, there's another character that I want to ask you about, Tim. Okay. As I work my way here, we're in the 70s here, as I'm looking at these Avengers recruits, and it's another character that pops up in this issue this first issue of the Busiek-Perez Avengers run,
Yeah.
and it's a character, a bald woman by the name of Moondragon.
Oh yeah, Moondragon. Yeah.
Shit. Moondragon.
Who or what is a Moondragon?
All right. It's difficult to keep these things concise, especially when you're about 6 drinks in. So, Moondragon is a character who first appeared in, actually, Iron Man comics, created by Jim Starlin, I believe.
Yep.
And, I mean, she was one of those early Starlin creations in there with Thanos and Drax, who Starlin didn't know how much or how long of a career in comics he was going to have, so he just started throwing he was trying to get all his shit in, when he could. And all right, again, you got to work with me here. She operated under the alias, very briefly, of Madam McEvil.
Now, if she had an Oklahoma man with the last name Briscoe working for her, how might he have referred to her? And would it have been Mrs. Mac Evil?
Mrs. Mac Evil. Yes, is the answer. So Moondragon, she was actually a human woman. Her name was Heather Douglas, and her family dies in a horrible car accident. The spirit of her father is resurrected as Drax the Destroyer, incidentally. She won't know that for a bit, but yeah, just bear that in mind, I suppose. It won't be important later for the purposes of our discussion. But she is taken to Titan, the moon on Saturn, where a whole bunch of Eternals reside. Now you might be thinking, what are the Eternals doing on the moon Saturn? You think of them as kind of an Earth-based group, if you think of them at all. And you probably don't, but just know that what you have to understand with the Eternals is there was an offshoot that settled on this moon Titan. Thanos would be one of their descendants. Okay. Now, there are monks. Yes, that's right, monks among these Eternals on Titan, the moon of Saturn, who train Heather Douglas and teach her in various disciplines, things like genetic engineering and how to be evil. Well, not really, but they also help her hone her psychic abilities, which I guess were latent. It's said to be, quote, present within all humans. Kind of makes it sound to me like she's a mutant. They end up not going there, but it's a little. What are we doing with this? In any case, monks on the moon of Saturn, because it's the 70s. Of course, she's also a martial arts master, as you do. She mentally overcomes a psychic entity that is known as the Dragon of the Moon, which is a very big deal. And
yeah, now wait just a minute. I have a feeling that might be tied into what comes later.
When she takes on the name Moondragon.
Ah.
This whole deal, by the way, this is basically Hal Jordan Parallax.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
It totally is, because what happens is she thinks she has overcome this horrible psychic malignant entity, but actually it is continuing to very subtly manipulate her and influence her on a level that she cannot detect. But that's why she becomes somewhat of a hard to handle type of character. She's very haughty. She's quite arrogant. She doesn't play well with others. Her teammates, her eventual teammates in the Avengers, largely hate her. She's just a pain in the ass, really.
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. Yeah,
that's exactly right, and very very well done. Now the whole Madame McEvil thing. So this was just a persona that she developed, and she's trying to figure out ways to repel Thanos, the looming threat of Thanos, and this is all just part of an act, basically. And she goes on to, by the way, we mentioned the Celestial Madonna, which was Mantis, right? Well, it was believed at one point that Moondragon might be the Celestial Madonna. There were a few candidates for this, and she was one of them. So, dudes kind of wanted to bone her too. Yeah, 70s again.
Yes, and the Celestial Madonna is clearly, whoever is the Celestial Madonna is the preeminent, I guess, figure of lust in the known universe.
Well, I guess with that distinction, you're going to have to put up with a certain amount of male chauvinist pigs, and that's exactly what happened. She goes on to aid the Avengers in battles with guys like Korvac, Michael Korvac. Sounds like a vacuum cleaner. It is not.
Yeah, I think I bought one of those one time.
Yeah, Korvac 9000. She has a short run with the Avengers proper. She would also go on to join the Defenders, among other characters I think we discussed earlier. See, I'm already blacking out now. And later on in the 90s, she will be the holder of the Infinity Stone, the Infinity Gem in the Marvel Universe, known as the Mind Gem, appropriately enough. So she's part of Warlock's Infinity Watch in the 90s. That's,
yes.
I think, how most people would, if they are familiar with her, which they're not, it would be through the Infinity Watch. And that's Moondragon.
Wow. Well, real quick, because I don't think there's probably going to be much to this guy, but there may be. I could be wrong. Two Gun Kid? Anything on him?
He was one of the Old West heroes or characters that was time displaced. I think he met Hawkeye when Hawkeye himself was time displaced, and they became BFFs, and he returned with Hawkeye to the present and had a little stint with the Avengers as well. Is he in those first 3 issues of the Busiek-Perez run?
I don't remember encountering him, no.
I don't remember him being there either, but you're going off the list, and I am at the mercy of the list.
Well, speaking of the list, I feel like there's a couple of extra characters that I have to get to before we end.
Oh.
And these are characters that I didn't know anything about, and characters that, quite frankly, appear to be living embodiments of the 1990s.
Uh-oh.
And the first of these characters is a man whose name is simply a thing, an abstract concept known as Rage.
Oh, Rage. Okay, he's an easy one. He made his first appearance in Avengers comics in the early 90s. He was one of these super strong but somewhat disfigured by the means in which he was powered, which I think was exposure to waste or chemicals or something. And that's why he wears the mask, okay? To hide, to conceal his appearance. And he has a brief membership with the Avengers until they go on to learn that he is in fact 15 years old. He's a minor, in other words, and they do not allow children within their ranks.
Of course.
At least at that time. It was against their charter, the sacred Avengers charter.
The charter was written for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And so they basically kick him off the team, and he will join the New Warriors. Again, early 90s Marvel team, Ben Moore's favorite. Good comics. Really fun character dynamics in that, written by one of our favorites, Fabian Nicieza.
Yes.
Yeah.
The prolific Fabian Nicieza.
Yeah, so it's after a dust-up between the Avengers and the New Warriors, early outing of the New Warriors, that Rage meets them, and after he is shown the door by the Avengers, he's like, well, there's this other super team. They don't seem to have as high standards as you guys. And he becomes a card-carrying member of the New Warriors. And this is how guys like Justice, who is a mutant, telekinetic mutant, and Firestar, who's a pyrokinetic mutant, find their way into those first 3 issues of the run that you are about to read. It's because they are just hanging out with Rage, who's technically a former Avenger.
That's a pretty good summation. Why is he called Rage? Is his power tied to his rage at all?
I don't think it is. I think he's just young, dumb, and full of rage.
Yes. Okay, I gotcha. So let's move on to Darkhawk.
I don't know what to do with the fact that you somehow missed the entirety of the Darkhawk series.
That was a cartoon with a superhero duck, I believe, from the early 90s.
Ah, no, you are referring, of course, to Darkwing Duck.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, so Darkhawk is largely a solo hero. His series lasted something like 60 issues, I want to say.
Wow, yeah, I had no idea this was a character. Didn't know he existed until this issue of Avengers.
Yeah, from 1991 to 50 issues, excuse me. Created by Tom DeFalco, another Place to Be Nation comics favorite, and Mike Manley. Am I familiar with this artist? In any case, he is a young man by the name of Chris Powell, who basically has a mysterious, mystical amulet that he uses to become... He's kind of like the Guyver, okay? Put it in terms that you'll understand.
Yes!
He's like the guy, and the cool thing is, if he sustains an injury in his Darkhawk form, he can transform back into his human Chris Powell guise and be healed, uninjured. And then if he changes back into Darkhawk, well, it's basically hitting the reset button. I remember that from like an Iron Man annual backup story, is kind of the extent of my interactions with Darkhawk. I never read this series on its own, but he would like guest star in everything, and various popular characters would guest star in his book all the time. So
I'm guessing Ghost Rider crossed over with him.
Yeah,
with some regularity.
A lot of stuff with Spider-Man, of course. He was also a member of the New Warriors for a little bit. And in terms of his Avengers association, it was the West Coast branch that he was a part of during their somewhat dying days. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the extent of he's not a deep character is what I'm getting at. I suppose.
Yeah, he's a little rough around the edges.
Right, and technically
Little,
this Darkhawk identity is an android that he controls. It's not like him turning into this. It's almost like a switching places type deal with Captain Marvel, Billy Batson.
Mm-hmm.
So
is it him that has the confrontation with Spider-Man in the first issue, where he's like like Captain America gives everybody a chance, like your Spider-Man's like, hey, I got stuff to do, can I leave? And Cap's like, sure. And then is it Darkhawk that gets in his face and he's like, hey, you little chump, you're nothing but a coward. And then Sandman threatens to beat him up.
I do not recall off the top of my head. Kind of seems like something he would do. He was one of those edgy 90s characters. Of course.
Yes, a lot of edge there. Now, Nick, are you still there, Nick?
I'm here.
I want you to tell me: is there an ultimate Darkhawk?
There is not an ultimate Darkhawk, to my knowledge, and I could be mistaken, but I do not believe that Ultimate Darkhawk ever appeared in the Ultimate Universe. And I'm sure that at some point, if Drunk Comics history continues to be a thing, there will be an Ultimate Universe edition coming your way at some point.
Indeed, you can take me through the rise and the rise and inevitable fall of the Ultimate Universe.
We can talk all about Ultimate Cable, which is one of my favorite things.
Oh my gosh, Ultimate Cable is just very, very triggering to me.
Now I mentioned something. I mentioned something a moment ago, which is the iconic Spider-Man villain, the Sandman, who of course everyone knows as Flint Marko.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why was he an Avenger?
They did a Reformation gimmick with him. That's really all there was to it. He was not around long at all as an Avenger. Is
this sort of like Sabretooth and Juggernaut's reclamation projects later on?
Yeah, pretty similar. He and Spider-Man, I believe, joined in like the same issue. I mean, Spider-Man was a reservist member of the Avengers for a long time before he properly joined up with them in the New Avengers, Brian Michael Bendis era. And I think it rubbed him the wrong way that they let Sandman join, and that's part of why he would split. Or that may just be my headcanon, but yeah, I know that they in the same issue joined and crossed paths, and it was like, what's up with this?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting to me because I was like, what in the world? He's a villain, and they're on the same team. It's very, very odd. Well, I think to wrap things up... They tried
to reform him. Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah. Well, I think to wrap things up, and there are some other characters along the way that we could go on about, and perhaps will at a later time. I mean, certainly I'm interested to delve into the history of Tigra and... Tigra, sorry.
Tigra.
See, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, these names.
Tigra.
Tigra. You don't want to talk about Gilgamesh? You don't...
Gilgamesh?
You don't want to cover Deathcry or...
Deathcry. Now, wait a minute. Now you're speaking my 90s type language here.
Also
Deathcry.
Not officially an Avenger either.
Then what about there's other characters, Star Fox, of course, who we talked about.
We talked about Star Fox, who's Thanos'
Infinity
brother.
Gauntlet. Okay, never mind. I said we were about to wrap up. I got one more before I get to my wrap-up one. Who the hell is Dr. Druid?
Dr. Druid! He's going to be the next one on the list. Dr. Druid is amazing. So, Dr. Druid, and there's not a lot to him either, but
whose name is Dr. Anthony Ludgate Druid?
That's right. Now, keep this. What you have to understand about Dr. Druid is his first appearance predated like the Marvel superhero universe proper. He's a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby creation, if you can believe it. Debuted in a series called Amazing Adventures in like 1961. At that point, he was called Dr. Droom. All right. So again, written by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby on art, inked by Steve Ditko.
Oh.
Whoa.
So this guy, yeah. Now, Amazing Adventures would later become retitled Amazing Adult Fantasy, which would, of course, give way to simply Amazing Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this guy was just a prototype Doctor Strange. So if you wondered what like a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby take on Doctor Strange might have been, it's in this little, it's like 4 or 5 issues was all we really saw of him. And this being an anthology series, you figure they're probably shorter stories. And so he, 1961 gets a few appearances in. Fantastic Four happens. The Marvel shared superhero universe proper takes off, and Stan Lee still got the idea kicking in the back of his mind, wants to do a sort of magician type character, remembers this Dr. Droom creation, and then collaborates with Steve Ditko on Doctor Strange, who is just sort of a revamped version of this Droom, Dr. Droom dude. They ended up changing his name to Druid to avoid confusion with Dr. Doom.
Doom, right.
And in fact, they changed that name in reprints of these first appearances.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he comes back into circulation like in the 70s, just pops up in various different titles, Hulk, Ghost Rider, and Defenders, of course, because everyone had to appear in Defenders. And goes on to join the Avengers proper in, once again, the Roger Stern, John Buscema run. At this point, he is being manipulated by a villain called the Terminatrix.
I am somewhat familiar with the Terminatrix because I think I may have had a card with the Terminatrix on it, or I've at least seen the term somewhere. Maybe one of my old Marvel encyclopedias.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, not important, but under the thrall of this villain, he is actually kind of like a sleeper agent within the Avengers and manipulates them into basically disbanding. He becomes their chairman very briefly, gets promoted through the ranks very quickly, and dissolves the Avengers. He follows the Terminatrix into like a limbo dimension, not the hell version of limbo, but the between time version of limbo. There's a lot of limbos in the Marvel universe. is all I'm saying. And he gets better and eventually returns to his home dimension, assists Captain America during the acclaimed Man and Wolf bi-weekly storyline. And you know what happens there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Captain America turns into a werewolf for 6 issues. Bi-weekly saga. Cap Wolf. So, Dr. Druid has a hand in resolving that great Captain America epic. And that kind of ends his association with the Avengers. He went through his little villainous spell and got better. Also, somehow in the process, got younger. But
so he no longer balding?
Well, he was.
I kind of like the bald look.
He was still balding, but it was more like receding than full on.
Man, I like the horseshoe. I like the horseshoe.
Yep. That's Dr. Druid.
Damn, that was good. See, I learned all kinds of things there. I had no idea I didn't know who he was, first of all. Second of all, the fact that he predates the actual Marvel Universe is kind of cool.
That's right. It's a little retconny, admittedly, but I mean, clearly they decided this is going to be the same character when they brought him back around.
I mean, I could go all night with this because I don't know. There's so many characters I don't know about. Machine Man, I don't know anything about. Demolition Man or D-Man, I know a little about, but not much.
Yes.
D-Man.
There's a Firebird, I don't know anything about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we could just go forever, but I'm sure that Nick, being on the East Coast, is probably as are you, obviously, are probably getting near the end of the rope. So I want to end with a character that I don't know anything about except the old Marvel card, and I can't for the life of me figure out what this character's powers are. I had his card, and I could never figure out what his gimmick was. And I'm hoping you can help me out, Tim.
Okay.
It's a character named, his real name is Miguel Santos, but you may know him better by the name Living Lightning. Now, is he a martial artist? Is he a telekinetic? Is he some sort of gun toter? I can't figure out what is his deal.
So again, we're getting into Avengers West Coast lore. That's what he was a member of for a decent little spell. His yes, he's not so much a martial artist as he is a quote skilled street fighter. He is capable of flight at sublight speeds, so I guess he moves as fast as electricity. Is that a thing? Anyway, and manipulation of electricity as well. He's going to ride the lightning. That's his gimmick. There's not a whole lot to get into with him. He incidentally, he's gay. They decided actually it was a Dan Slott deal. Yep. And the the Great Lakes Avengers GLA miniseries in the kind of mid 2000s, he was brought out of mothballs, and they decided that he likes dudes, which it makes a degree of sense only because there's not a ton to him personality wise. It's not like it really is flying in the face of what we already knew about this guy, because I don't think we really did know a whole lot about him.
In the one issue that I've read of this run, his appearance is basically limited to indeed being living lightning.
Yeah.
Now Great Lakes Avengers, is that like?
I won't say that he was a complete blank slate, but they never did a ton with him.
Now, Great Lakes Avengers, is that like the modern successor to the West Coast Avengers, sort of?
No, it is the more like the Justice League and Antarctica analog.
Supergirl's cat.
Avengers. Yeah, we're talking. You're really reaching for these guys. You have such great characters as Flatman. And
what's his ability?
He flattens and
Man, I need to get that power. That sounds like a good gimmick to have.
Mr. Immortal, who cannot die. I mean, he can die, but he resurrects immediately. You have Dinosaur, who is like a pterodactyl woman, kind of. It's great. It's very tongue-in-cheek.
This sounds good.
Dinosaur!
It is. It really is. I would highly recommend, especially... Dinosaur... given your feelings towards Dan Slott, Nick, you have to set that aside. I mean, this is mid-2000s.
Indignant, incestuous, red-headed, pig-nosed twin headshake gif.
Dan Slott wrote a very entertaining, very tongue-in-cheek GLA miniseries, which later became GLX because they thought the X-Men would be more marketable, and so they became the
Great Lakes X-Men.
Yeah. They got a cool new edgy image going on. Dan Slott, he's a great tongue-in-cheeksman when he's not writing Spider-Man for the better part of a decade. He's done some good stuff.
Was Goldball a member of the GLX?
Goldballs was not a member of the GLX, but he probably should have been.
Yeah.
Now I think about it.
Nick, this is where you come in again. I want to run through the list of some of the characters we've talked about today, and I want you to tell me if there's ultimate versions of any of them.
Okay.
All right, so let's start off with the character that started all. The sword. Is there an ultimate swordsman?
I believe the answer is yes, but I can't provide you with any in-depth.
There's an ultimate Hawkeye, so there should be an ultimate swordsman.
I'm fairly sure there's an ultimate swordsman. Yes.
Shouldn't Hawkeye have learned from an ultimate bowman?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Hawkeye, he's a pretty good fencer, among other things. So you would think that the archery and fencing would be kind of incompatible, which I think they are in the real world. But...
In the real world, based on our extensive knowledge of both archery and fencing.
Yes.
Is there an ultimate Black Knight, Nick?
Yes.
Oh, tell me more.
So the ultimate Black Knight, if I'm remembering correctly, when Hank Pym was kicked off of the Avengers for savagely beating his wife, or off of the Ultimates for savagely beating his wife, in Ultimates Volume 2, he went on to have a little, midlife crisis breakdown type thing where he fell in with the Ultimate Defenders, who were all frauds, essentially, who were not really superheroes. And I believe there was a ultimate version of the Black Knight who was basically a nobody. These people who had delusions of grandeur, essentially.
Mm. Now, what about Ultimate Mantis? Is there an Ultimate Mantis?
No, Cosmic wasn't really a thing in the Ultimate Universe for the most part. At least not outside of a version of the Galactus Swarm, and eventually the actual version of Galactus coming to the Ultimate Universe.
The Galactus fart cloud, right?
No, not a fart cloud. A cybernetic virus, essentially, like a plague of machines that would come and harvest one's planet's natural resources.
Was he ionic in any way?
I could not answer that question.
Oh.
Was Galactus ionic? Is that what you're
I
asking?
think he might have been. I think Galactus is ionic in nature, is he not?
I don't know about that.
Aren't we all ionic in nature?
I think to some degree we are indeed consisting of ions at some level.
Galactus was his name, right?
Yes, Galactus. That is correct. It was an alien dialect, and it was his coming was heralded, of course, by the sexy female version of the Vision they used in the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, this is right. I forgot about that.
Yes, the Black Knight. I just looked it up. The Black Knight was a fat, out of shape LARP enthusiast who was pretending to be a superhero.
That's right. He was a LARPer. Yeah.
Scott Steiner would have loved him.
Yep.
Now, I guess I ought not even ask if there's an Ultimate Moondragon.
I don't believe that there was.
Because it's more of a cosmic type deal. Now, please, you would do me great joy if you informed me that there was an Ultimate Two-Gun Kid.
I do not believe that there was, sir. I am sorry to inform you.
Satan's Revenge. What about Ultimate Wonderman?
Wonderman.
Yes, there was an Ultimate Wonder Man. Virtually the same as the Wonder Man that I know.
Wow, very good, very good. Let me look through our list of characters.
There was an Ultimate Moondragon.
Oh shit!
Really? Tell me more.
Yes. Okay, so there was an Ultimate Moondragon that. Okay. So there was
See, alongside, just like 616 Moondragon.
There was an Ultimate Moondragon. There were many Ultimate Moondragons.
Oh boy.
Galactus had tried to come to Earth before, because there were like these. Okay, so part of the gimmick of the Galactus story in the Ultimate Universe is is that he had tried to come before and failed, and there were like these remnants of the invasion, these like beacons that activated, and they were trying to figure out, hey, what's the signal being sent out that's calling Galactus back to Earth or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so there had been somebody who would come into contact with one of these beacons all the way back then, by the name of Heather Douglas, and she had died in the service, had become a herald of Galactus essentially. And so as these beacons are activating and the heroes are trying to do stuff, there are clones of Moondragon that are popping up, fighting various individuals. So you have 20 Moondragons running around doing stuff.
As you do.
For Galactus's arrival, I think.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Greg, by the way, I'm looking at that first issue of Avengers Volume 3. The guy who's bitching out Spider-Man, it is not Darkhawk. You know who it is?
Is it the Swordsman?
It's the Swordsman.
Damn it! I knew it was one of those two.
It's Magdalene's boyfriend. Now, not Jack Duquesne.
That's a great scene, by the way.
Jack Duquesne dead. Keep in mind this being the Swordsman of the Gatherers.
A different sword entirely.
Different swordsman entirely.
And that's a great scene too, by the way. That was really good. Just the the indignity of Spider-Man. Just like, hey. Anyway.
Well, of all characters to get in his face too. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So Nick, is there an ultimate Cersei?
I don't believe that there is. But again, fairly, I'm going to say no. I'm going to guess no. To be completely honest.
All right.
Are there ultimate Eternals? Period. I don't.
There would have been Eternals in the Ultimate Universe. I'm almost positive, because the only book that ever really got into the cosmic side was Ultimate Fantastic Four, and they did some stuff with various individuals. Let's see here. I don't know. Let's see.
You would think there'd be a Cersei if there's an ultimate version of the Eternals themselves, but you're right. I'm not seeing one.
Unless they did. I mean, the only place I can think of that they would have, popped up would have.
Maybe Proctor killed her already.
Ultimate Proctor.
He got to that one before we started following the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any ultimate Eternals, unfortunately.
Yeah, he got to her.
Proctor knew about the Ultimate Universe before we did.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you about Ultimate Cable one day, though. I'm glad to hear that it triggers Tim Capel. I don't even give a shit about the X-Men, and it kind of triggers me, to be honest. I remember reading it and going, "Oh God, why?"
Yeah, well, it was the moment where, you could read Ultimate X-Men and think. Yeah. I'm not really an X-Men guy. I don't like the X-Men that much, but Ultimate X-Men is cool. This is very, entry-level X-Men, and then they did that. So.
And then Robert Kirkman did that.
Robert Kirkman did that. That's right.
Yeah.
Nick, is there an Ultimate Rage? Or
Ultimate New Warriors?
I do not believe so.
Ultimate Justice?
Well, there's always Ultimate Justice, but no.
That's what the Ultimates mete out, is Ultimate Justice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They make sure that there is indeed. What about an Ultimate Crystal?
Of the Crystal of the Inhumans?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, there have to be if there's Inhumans.
As she's an Avenger as well. What was the name of her? Ultimate Magdalene. Is there an Ultimate Magdalene?
God.
No, I do not
There's
believe
no way. There's no way.
All right, now tell me, this would be a good one, Nick. Ultimate Darkhawk?
You asked me that already.
Oh,
earlier.
I did already? I was hoping it had changed since then.
I looked it up, though. After you asked to confirm that there wasn't, and there wasn't. However, the only instance of him even being mentioned in the Ultimate Universe is apparently in the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, when you're racing Johnny Storm, he makes fun of you by saying that you're slower than Darkhawk. So that would confirm, seemingly, that he does exist out there, even if he's in any form.
And then finally, Nick, is or isn't there an ultimate living lightning?
Not that I am aware of.
By the way,
well, gosh.
I stand slightly corrected. Rage, 13 years old when he was an Avenger.
Oh. That's like prime. Like at that point, you're almost aging out of being Robin.
Yeah, right. So and he was, because of the toxic waste mutated his body to such a monstrous, grotesque form. They thought he was a grown man. So,
wow.
There you go.
Imagine their surprise when they found out otherwise. You don't have to imagine. I'm sure it played out on the page.
Well, you see, what happened was he joined. They let him join before they'd finished running the background check. I mean, those things took time. This being the early 90s. Nowadays, you get it back within 24 hours. But
right, it'd be a lot easier to vet your heroes.
Oh yeah, could have been a week or more back then.
Crazy. Well, this has been enlightening. This has been.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do this to you again.
No, go.
I was
ahead.
also remiss in pointing out in the Rage entry, his kind of exit from the Avengers was stoked by none other than one of your favorites, the Hate Monger.
Hate Monger. Yes.
Right.
Okay, now I'm interested in Rage. I feel like I need to read more about Rage. The Hate Monger is just such a. I mean, gosh, he's a monger.
Well, it gets better because this story, I could be wrong, but in my head, I'm pretty sure written by Vivian Nicieza.
I like it.
Yeah. So I mean, the Hate Monger, he was creating hate within the hearts of the New Warriors and the Avengers.
You might even say he was mongering the hate.
He was mongering it along, yeah.
Crazy. Well, this has been enlightening. This has been fascinating. This has been a crash course in Avengers history. Now, Nick, I don't know about you, but I learned a lot in this setting.
Oh man, as did I.
'Cause I didn't know jack squat about virtually any of these characters that were brought up today until today.
Exactly. Yeah, I had no idea about the race of the Qatari or, the procreation with them that Mantis took on. So yeah, all good stuff.
Mantis could have been a whole episode. It's rough, y'all.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us, for enjoying yourself with the liquid encouragement there, and for taking us through this a little bit of the long and winding history of the Avengers. We will revisit this at another time, potentially in the future, on a podcast feed that is yet to be launched, but we are planning on in the future. And in the meantime, Tim, where can people find you on social media?
Oh hell, I don't know. They can find me if they so desire on Twitter. I am at Cyke68 CYKE68 on social media. I'm not really active so much in the Place to Be Nation Comics Facebook group. I'm sorry for that, but if you do want to get in touch with me there,
no, you're not.
I mean, if someone really wants to through that, they certainly can. Yeah, that's how you get in touch with me.
And Tim, of course, is the co-host of he's one of the panelists of Marvel Age, which I mentioned earlier. He's the co-host of Talkin' Pop with Jennifer Smith, the award-winning Talkin' Pop with Jennifer Smith. Half the award-winning, that is.
Yeah.
He is also one half of the Survey Says team with Andy Helene as they take a look at World Championship Wrestling. And am I leaving anything out there, Tim? Conversation Comics with Todd Weber, which is on a long hiatus right now.
On a long hiatus.
But I believe we'll be coming back in the near future, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. If you'd like to hear more long diatribes, not about Avengers history, but X-Men history, a very specific run of X-Men at that, look for Conversation Comics whenever it does return, which again, talks are ongoing. We're going to keep teasing it, and then it's going to happen. I'm confident of it.
I am too, and I'm confident we'll be listening to it when it happens, because it's a great series you guys have been doing on the Byrne and Claremont X-Men. Good things come to those who wait, people. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up this first half of the show, take a break, come back on the other end with reading, watching, and the rundown. We hope you stay with us. We hope that this concept has worked for you. I think it's been pretty fun. So anyway, we will revisit this at a later time. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Tim. We will have you back on again very, very soon for a non-history focused episode of just shooting the breeze.
Thank you. I apologize for killing the podcast.
No, it's been good. All right, guys, we will be back right after this.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, pro wrestling announcer Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you are all subscribed to all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. It's really easy to do. Just head to iTunes or your preferred podcatcher app today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, which of course includes the full archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, the Place to Be Nation pod feed, and the Pro Wrestling Only feed. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. And be sure to give Justin your true thoughts. I mean, don't hold back. After all, he is kind of a jerk. Just listen to Scott.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We offer them to you on two great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the Place to Be podcast, along with Main Event, Survey Says, the Monday Night Wars, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction show, as well as Jeff Learns Wrestling. In addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver special network podcasts and pod blasts on topics old and new.
Over on the Pro Wrestling Only feed, we dive deep inside the wrestling business with a stacked army of experts leading the way. The feed features potpourri shows such as This Week in Wrestling, Greetings from Allentown, Match of the Week podcasts, and the Military Industrial Suplex. We also have shows that focus intently on certain topics like Through the Years, Worldcast, Strong Style History, Strong Style Story, and Mount Olympus. Plus, the feed has the full archives of legendary shows like Titans of Wrestling, Where the Big Boys Play, Letters from Center Stage, and Letters from Kayfabe, plus much more. And on our very popular Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed, we offer such great shows as Talkin' Pop, the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, NBA Team, PTBN Play, Sunday Groove, Breaking Balls, and Lucha Undead.
As well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans.
With the Hard-Traveling Fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversations, Geek and Sassy, and Marvel Age podcasts.
You can find all of these current shows, plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback today. All these shows, plus others, available at PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping, and download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, and thehistoryofwrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Hi there. Have you recently gone through a crisis? Did you find out your friends had been lying to you for years to cover up something they did? Have you discovered that one of your bitter enemies might actually be three people? Were you seemingly killed by a new god only to find yourself quantum leaping through time until you make it back to the present? Was your entire reality wiped out in a cosmic battle between two godlike beings only to be reborn, destroyed, and reborn again? Then join me, Russell Sellers, and my special guests as we help you manage your post-crisis life in DC Post-Crisis Management, a limited monthly series starting in September. We can't promise you closure, but we will try to avoid destroying your hometown and turning you into a homicidal maniac who wipes out time.
And we're back. Place to be nation, pop listeners.
Huzzah!
All right. And we are here to give you the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And normally this is the part of the show where we'll BS and we'll rigmarole, but or whatever you call it. We don't have time for all that right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get right down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's time for us to get into a little segment. Lilo segment. It's a Lilo segment we like to call looking at. Some folks calls it reading and watching. I calls it looking at.
Reading and watching. What have you been reading and watching?
Nick, what you been looking at?
Bunch of comics. I read a stack of 10 comics this week, trying to make some progress, which barely made a dent in my massive stack, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, real quick, Batman 52 continues the Cold Days storyline. I'm digging this. Tom King continues to kill it on Batman, despite you and certain other individuals' protestations to that point. But I am enjoying it. It's a good story. The Amazing Spider-Man #2, another.
Sorry, I nodded off for a second there. Sorry.
The Amazing Spider-Man #2, another solid entry in Nick Spencer's early run on The Amazing Spider-Man, teasing me with that Peter-Mary Jane relationship I want back so badly. But I'm going to enjoy it while it's here, unlike some people. Unlike complaining about where the destination is, I'm going to enjoy the journey of these two characters I desperately want to see together.
That's rich coming from you.
Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps 49, loving it. I don't want to say anything because you're going to read it at some point, unlike these other things, and you will equally love it, I think. Detective Comics 985 continues this Karma storyline by Brian Edward Hill, and it's just okay. I don't think it's anything to be jumping up and down about. It's certainly not up to par with the James Tynion IV stuff, but perhaps it's at least going to be an intriguing setup for something we'll talk about here in a little bit during the rundown. Aquaman 36 and 37. Very much enjoying this as Dan Abnett is barreling towards the conclusion of this Coram Wrath storyline he's had going on for what is over a year now. Very intriguing, even if the art has dropped off a little bit since John Sejic left the book. But still very, very good stuff. And then finally, I read Green Lanterns 47, 48, 49, and Annual 1. This was the stretch of issues that saw Tim Seeley depart the book, saw Andy Diggle come on and write the annual, and saw a fill-in writer come in, actually the rare fill-in writer, before Dan Jurgens takes over the book, which I have some of those issues but haven't read them, and they were fine. Nothing that I can really, write home about, but pretty well drawn, standard Jessica and Simon stories at this point that don't really stick out. Kind of forgettable, but not actively bad, I would say.
Very good. Very good information to have, Nicholas.
You're welcome.
One day I too will be able to catch up and share opinions on several of these books.
Yeah, I didn't want to do too deep a dive, because deep dives are, they take a lot of time. And one of my favorite fictional characters who did deep dives, Greg, was the famed aquatic explorer Steve Zissou in The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. No one is going to get this. No single person other than you and I, and it's great.
You know what the best way to talk about things that other people aren't going to get is, Nick?
What's that?
You start a group text message involving you, the other people that get what you're talking about, and then one person who has never seen the movie that you're referencing and doesn't get any of the stuff that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And you just text constantly.
This must be what it feels like to be married to me whenever all my friends are around.
Yes, I would assume so.
Hey, maybe you can talk about it tomorrow over lunch with your coworker.
Which one?
The one that's I would assume is in Racino's Fantasy League.
I have a coworker that. Oh yes, that's true. Yeah. We're gonna move on right now. We're gonna move on to.
Did you have any reading or watching? Did you read anything? Did you watch anything? Did you do anything?
I didn't. A, I never do anything. B, I did not read anything. I did watch something. Actually.
What'd you watch?
I'll tell you what I watched. I watched episode 8 of Krypton.
Oh.
On the Sci-Fi Channel network.
Uh-huh.
And it's a show that I continue to watch in episode by episode chunks.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, another strong episode.
Yeah.
This show.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
No.
This show continues to blow me away pretty much every time I see it. I don't think this one was quite as dramatic as some of the prior episodes, but it was still excellent, very good. I'm so wrapped into this story arc. I don't know where it's going, which is really hard to do with a prequel story, as you know, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm genuinely intrigued to see where this season's going to end, and 100% on board with this vision for these characters.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. I also watched something, or half of something. I watched the first half of the first episode of Luke Cage Season 2 and fell asleep and have not felt any great desire to go back and try to start it again. I will at some point, but not much going on there in that first episode for me. It kind of put me out for the count.
Well, that's another controversial opinion I have about Marvel Netflix, among several, is that I think all of them have, except for Luke Cage Season 1, I think all of them have suffered from, and that I've seen. I have not seen Punisher. You know this, Nick. I haven't seen Punisher, Iron Fist, all that. The ones that I've watched have suffered in the first episode from boring me.
Even Daredevil Season 1?
Yes.
See, I was hooked on Daredevil. Daredevil and Jessica Jones are the exception. Daredevil Season 1 and Jessica Jones Season 1. Those were the ones that got their hooks into me in the first episode.
And see, I don't know if you remember, but when I was first watching Jessica Jones, I still had reservations after the first episode. I don't know if you remember this, but like I watched the first episode and I was not hooked. I thought it was okay. I was interested to see where it was going, but it didn't blow me away. Daredevil is very much the same way. I was like, I like the feel of this. I like the look of it. But it took a couple episodes to me. I think episode 2 was when it really kicked in, and I was like, okay, I get it. And then, of course, I thought Daredevil Season 2 started off with kind of a dull episode, and then, for my money, and then Luke Cage Season 1 had a really good first episode, but then, we know how that season turned out. But, so I'm interested to see what they do with Season 2, but I've got a long way to go to get there, as you know. An uphill battle.
Indeed.
And that's it. So, with all that being said, let's move on to our weekly look at the news and notes throughout the world of comics.
Mm-hmm.
It is a segment that we like to call, what do we call it, Nick? The damn rundown, right?
We call it the Rundown Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Welcome to the rundown.
And let's talk about the rundown. Apparently, my league is drafting now, and I forgot. And it's all over.
Oh, this is going to be a great back half of the show, ladies and gentlemen, as you're going to hear Greg, who is a storied multitasker. A multitasker, the likes of which we probably haven't seen since the esteemed David Sunday, is going to attempt to podcast and conduct a fantasy football draft at the same time. So this ought to be quite interesting.
Mike Evans. Oh God. Anyway. So the rundown. So HBO, Nick. What do you know about HBO? HBO's a network, right?
HBO is the former home box office. It was a premium cable channel, pay channel, that got its start back in the late 80s and early 90s, largely on the back of having movies sooner than anybody else before they would hit VHS, but in between there and the theater. So it's become quite the phenomenon in recent years, from what I understand, based on strong original programming.
Strong style original programming?
Westworld Season 2 apparently had a lot of Japanese in it, so there you go.
A lot of Japanese in it.
What?
Well,
it had a Japan-themed world in Westworld Season 2.
Well, that's fair. That's listen. I'm not here to dilly dally with your tiddlywinks there. I don't know what any of that means, but anyway, Watchmen. So they do all this thing. They also show boxing a lot, you know. And one of the things that they'll be showing eventually, apparently, is a spin-off of the famed audio adaptation of Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen. Yes. Have you heard this, Nick?
Yeah, I have heard this. I can tell you my close personal longtime friend, Sex Ferguson, I have talked to him, and he is none too pleased with the dollar amounts that are being offered to him right now, and I think that's going to be a very tense and drawn out negotiating process. I'm assuming.
Oh, I hope that I have to just hope that Sex is going to be a part of this.
Well, Sex is a busy man. You know, he's of course still making the towns, and it's going to take a lot for him to fit it into his schedule. So if the dollar figures are not there, I don't think he's going to do it.
Now, is it the towns or the rats that you think give him the most problems?
Well, I wouldn't call them problems. It's just a way of life, brother.
Brother me softly.
Or not, depending.
Or hardly, if you will. Mm-hmm. Or even if you won't, really. Well, this all brings us to the point here, which is that Watchmen's getting a spin-off TV series from Damon Lindelof, Nick's favorite individual. Mm-hmm.
And Greg apparently is on the clock now.
There's no guarantee of that. It's been confirmed for a full series order at HBO. That's what I'm getting to here. So, Nick, thoughts?
We'll see what happens. I of course, my expectations for this are extremely low.
Extremely low, you say?
Yes.
Well, quite frankly, I can't disagree with any of that. I don't know what this is going to be. I think it could be good. It could be crappy. We don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about The Leftovers by Damon Lindelof. However, I also know that he has a tendency of beginning stories that don't have an end.
Yes.
So let's see where all this goes. Well, I don't know if he began the story of Lost, but nonetheless, that's another story for another time.
Prometheus as well.
Yes, very true. So, from there, we go to the world of DC Universe streaming service, which I know is Nick's favorite topic to talk about. So, let's delve into it and get into a little bit of news about the non-Titans show that is going to be taking the airwaves on DC Universe pretty early on in the streaming service's life, which is Doom Patrol. Mm-hmm. And a pretty surprising announcement this week as former Hollywood star Brendan Fraser, who of course beat the Scorpion King, has been cast as the voice of Robotman.
Are you telling me that his, him being the voice will be a special effect for the show?
It'll be a special effect for the show. Cyborg tripped.
He didn't fall. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Listen, I know Robot Man's going to turn into a robot and all that unrealistic crap.
The Doom Patrol. Bring all the Doom Patrol. Robot Man, Batman, Superman, Aquaman.
Yeah, dude talks to the fish. Whoop that ass just like that.
Just like that.
And Robot Man, Nick, is going to bring all of his powers that he has as Robot Man.
Heat vision. X-ray vision. Cable vision. This is the portion of the show where Greg and Nick just recite to you lines from old wrestling promos. Because I don't really give a shit about Brendan Fraser, and to be honest, I don't really give a shit about the Doom Patrol. I have nothing to add on this topic.
Brendan Fraser beat the Doom Patrol. Anyway, we're gonna move on now, but that's the thing that's happening, and hopefully
we'll just have to wait and see what the show looks like when they finally lift that curtain.
Let's hope that Robot Man doesn't have a tiny ding-a-ling.
Ding-a-ling.
Anyway, all that aside, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Easy, big fella.
Well, speaking of DC television,
Yes.
Let's move over to an exciting announcement in the CW Arrowverse, as we like to call it.
That was a Beth Mowins like pronunciation of Arrow.
CW Arrowverse.
You know what? I dare not even say this because it some will probably take it the wrong way. You know what your Beth Mowins sounds a lot like? Bill Walton.
Oh! Oh, listen to this shitty fantasy team I have so far.
No one
Deshaun Watson, Mike Evans, and
Deshaun Watson's good. Deshaun Watson, he's good.
He's good.
If only there were a trade involving Deshaun Watson that certain individuals have to step in and shut down again.
Superman is returning to Supergirl, played by Tyler Hoechlin. Nick, have you heard that?
I heard that.
Yep, he's coming back, and there's no draft conspiracy against CW shows because they're drafting Lois Lane to come along with him. Lois Lane, the character of Lois, Superman's gal pal.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this is an important question. If Lois is going to come to Supergirl, does that mean we got that Lucy Lane coming back?
Lucy coming back, I hope.
Yeah, let's get acting ability, just insane.
She's great. But she's great. But no, Lois is joining, and as many know, Lois is my. Let me see if I can grab the Nickies here. My favorite female fictional character. So I am excited about this. Tyler Hoechlin, I thought, did a real good job as Superman, but hasn't appeared, I think, since season 2 of Supergirl. So I don't think he was on at all last year, right?
I don't think he was. You're right. They referenced him a couple times, but did not. Didn't
conspicuously absent during the world-ending events.
Right.
But I'm happy to have him back. The only thing that I hope they change about him, because I thought he was great, is I hope they fix that cape thing a little bit, because it either needs to connect or go back further.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I can say that for sure.
Nick, what are your thoughts on comedians that were predominantly popular in the 60s and 70s who threw confetti while doing their sets?
I'm a fan of them.
Yeah, they're not bad, huh?
No, they're not.
Well, let's move to the world of Marvel television, shall we? Netflix. We were talking about it earlier, right?
Yep.
So, our favorite Marvel Netflix show, Jessica Jones, after it completes its 3rd season, is losing its creator and showrunner, or at least its showrunner, in the form of Melissa Rosenberg. Because the report has come out that Rosenberg has signed an overall deal with Warner Brothers Television and will be leaving the Marvel Netflix family after filming season 3 of Jessica Jones, this according to the Hollywood Reporter. Now, Nick, I know this is a character in a show that's near and dear to your heart, and I certainly loved season 1 and think it's the high point of the Netflix Marvel universe to this point. What are your thoughts on this? What would you like to see her tackle at the WB?
Well, first of all, I'm glad she's going to at least be sticking around through the conclusion of season 3 of Jessica Jones. Not to, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there are certain plot threads and elements that will probably be explored in season 3 that I want to see her be the one to get to oversee rather than having to have them handed off to someone else in the midst of what feels like a very important story for the character of Jessica Jones. But heading over to Warner Brothers, it's kind of interesting because it says her deal is with Warner Brothers Television as a whole, and really all of the CW or all of the DC shows at this point seem to be kind of centralized under the auspices of Guggenheim and Berlanti and those guys, which not so much Guggenheim anymore, I guess, but Berlanti and all those guys. And it's one of those things where I wonder if she'll even get to work on comic shows. But if she does, she would seem like a natural fit to at least consult on the Batwoman show. There are a number of avenues she could explore, but how about what if they gave her, and not to pigeonhole her, don't want her to do the same thing over and over, but a Renee Montoya question series for the DC streaming service would be right up my alley. Put it that way.
I don't dislike that at all. I think that would be real cool. That would make a lot of sense. Put her in the Renee Montoya area. Put her in the maybe if we ever got that Daily Planet show that we've talked about wanting a time or two. I would like to see her land in this old DC Universe situation and see what she can do with some of these WB characters. See if she can breathe some of the life into them that she's breathed into Jessica Jones, which of course partly was due to outstanding casting as well. But there's a complicated process here. But I'm certainly excited to see what she can do moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, Nick, you know who else likes to move forward?
Who's that?
A Luke Cage actor is moving forward. Moving into another realm entirely. And that is the feature film world from Luke Cage. Now, this actor, whose name everyone knows, is Ron Cephas Jones. Has been revealed to be a part of the cast of the upcoming feature film Venom. Now, his role has not been stated. The movie finished shooting in January, and we don't know if this is going to be reshoots or if he was already in the movie and it's just now leaking out. But he will not be in Shazam. He turned down the role of the wizard Shazam. So, interesting here, the timing of this, Nick. If he's already filmed scenes for this and it's just now getting out, which I find impossible to believe, or he's a new character that's being added in the reshoots. What do you think?
Don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. I don't know what the deal is, honestly. I guess it's a reshoot thing, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's weird because Venom feels like something that you and I are very uncertain about, and the movie comes out in 6 weeks? I mean, it's not that far away.
It's right around the corner, in fact.
If they're doing reshoots, wouldn't they have already been done? So this whole thing is very odd to me.
Yes, agreed completely. I'm not sure what this is going to mean. Hopefully the movie is successful, but I have my doubts about that as well, Nick, whether it can even be financially successful. But we'll see. I mean, we know it's going to have a good opening weekend. There's no question about that. But we'll just have to let it play out and see where it goes. Now, Marvel Knights. This is a publishing line that had a big impact on Marvel Comics, bringing a lot of the characters we've mentioned to the forefront. Your Jessica Joneses, your Luke Cages, right? Your
Well, Jessica Jones was a Max series, not a Marvel Knights series. Marvel Knights, Kevin Smith, Daredevil, Black Panther, yeah. Yep.
So we are going to see that line return, as we've talked about here, but the details are out a little bit on it right now. So let's get into those details. Those details include the following. Travel Foreman will be drawing Marvel Knights #1, and Nico Henrikon will draw #2. It will be a 6-issue limited series event featuring Daredevil, the Punisher, Black Panther, Elektra, and players to be named later. Now, Donny Cates will be the, quote, showrunner for the series, and will be joined by writers Matthew Rosenberg, Teenie Howard, and Vita Ayala. Nick, what are your thoughts on this Marvel Knights reboot?
I probably won't read it, but it's kind of cool to see them acknowledging the importance of that, imprint of comics and how important they were to Marvel publishing back in 1998, 1999, which is arguably the darkest period in the company's history, at least from a, will the company survive standpoint. That lineup of characters that you just mentioned, all characters that make a lot of sense to be involved in this. I'm just interested to see what the story will be, because Marvel Knights was an imprint, not necessarily a crossover type thing. I mean, yes, you had these characters and occasionally they would interact, but for the most part, the characters stayed self-contained in their own books. So I'm trying to see how you what the story is that brings, Daredevil and Black Panther together, for example, especially given the profile that Black Panther has enjoyed in recent years. So, gonna be interesting. I look forward to saying I'm going to read this on Marvel Unlimited, never doing so, and then eventually reading the Wikipedia summary.
As all things go. Well, one thing that I'll also be reading the Wikipedia summary for, but I'm interested in nonetheless, Batman and the Outsiders, a new book that has been announced to be spinning out of writer Brian Edward Hill's Detective Comics, which you mentioned earlier, along with artist Dexter Soy, who has had a strong run on Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Allegedly.
The team's lineup will consist of Batman, The Signal, Katana, Black Lightning, and Orphan. The exact premise remains a mystery for now. Hill says it is a team book with Batman in it, but the safety is off. So this is pretty interesting, Nick. Interesting lineup of characters here. Interesting concept to bring back the Outsiders, which is one that dates back, I believe, to the early 80s. And has always been associated with Batman in some form or fashion. So curious to see what this consists of and where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier during the reading and watching segment, I haven't been blown away by Hill's little Detective Comics run, but hopefully with his own title, he'll be able to do things that are to his liking, and won't be constrained by DC editorial too much, and we can see what happens. I think the lineup of characters is interesting, especially getting to see Cassandra Cain continue to be used, and also Katana being brought back closer into the Bat family. I think that's interesting. The Signal, Duke Thomas, I'm still waiting for somebody to find the hook to that character for me, but maybe Brian Edward Hill is just the guy to do it.
Indeed. Well, to wrap things up here on the rundown, let's close it out with a story that, I felt we needed to mention, but I don't really have much to say on, which is Walmart enters the digital comics market. Walmart is launching a new digital books app in partnership with a company called Rakuten Kobo, forgive the pronunciation, titled Walmart eBooks. This will be a comprehensive digital book solution that will offer all of Kobo's 6 million titles, including a vast array of graphic novels from Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, and more. And that's all we got. So, anything to say on this, Nick?
Other than it's another opportunity for the comics genre to continue to be put in the hands of more casual fans, shoppers at Walmart. From that front, it's a good idea.
I have just gotten breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen. Nick, I have a direct message for you.
Oh boy.
A gentleman by the name of Cousteau's Cronies.
Oh God. Yes.
Indicates that I am to tell you.
Yes.
To go to hell.
Yes. ...
But with love.
But with love. I would like you to tell the same individual. I don't even know what to tell him. Tell him this. Tell him a 1, a 2. You know what to do.
So it is written.
There you are.
So it shall come to pass. Quote the Raven. Nevermore. Speaking of Raven, Nick, I can't help but notice.
Oh boy.
Up here on my grandfather clock. That I've got exactly 1 minute on the clock.
1 minute.
Of course, we would never go over.
No, never.
Not once.
No.
Which means it's time for the Wrestling Minute.
1 minute is all I ever need to get my shit in, so there you are.
Lots to talk about in the world of wrestling. SummerSlam this past weekend. TakeOver.
Yep.
A lot of stuff going on, Nick.
Yeah, TakeOver was phenomenal, as it always is. NXT continues to be the most consistent wrestling product, I think, in the world, quite possibly. Granted, I think they're, obviously independents in the North Carolina area, as well as the famed Scenic City Invitational that blow NXT out of the water. But at least in terms of things that are readily accessible to the new, the casual audience, I guess NXT's okay.
Yes, I would agree with that. And SummerSlam, I thought, was a good show this year with a lot of good matches, top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Some unusual developments coming out of that. But I just want to say that we here at the Hard-Traveling Fanboys are committed to the Greg Phillips heel turn, and we're going to make it work.
Absolutely, we're gonna make it work, no matter how natural a babyface he is to my natural heel. So we'll see how it goes.
Indeed. Well, that's it. That's our minute, and we hit it almost on the dot. So, with that being said, folks, we are bringing an end to this broadcast, and I can't help but think, Nick, what do we have? We got to have something big next week. We have to have something. We have to have something.
Oh, we do.
To whet the appetites.
It's appropriate. You didn't even know that we were teasing it earlier, folks, as you listened to Greg work through his fantasy football draft. But it's also draft season in the comics world, because next week we will bring to you the third biennial Place to Be Nation Peter David Memorial Fantasy Comics Draft, presented by a hypothetical. Non-rotational DC Comics online unlimited subscription
service. Mm-hmm. I, for one, I don't know about you, Nick. I can't wait. Mm-hmm. I mean, this to me could be.
And if you've listened, let me just say real quick, if you've listened to our two previous, or experienced our previous drafts, whether in written form or audio form, this time out, it's time to. Well, it's time to shake things up a bit, quite frankly.
Now, should we go ahead and reveal some of our panelists for next week? Should we save that for the show itself?
I will be there in an unspecified role. Greg will be there. Other individuals will be there, and that's all you need to know right now.
That's right. And if you thought that the comic book theater was dorky, was nerdy, was the low point in low self-esteem dorks giving everyone out there that loves comic books a bad name, you haven't heard anything yet, bro. Because we're going to take it to an all-new low.
Yes, we are.
But that's another story for another time, and in the meantime, we will be bidding you adieu. Good night, and good luck. I got that really bad, Nick. Do it for me instead.
Bang.
Hard-Traveling Fanboys, 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 Hard-Traveling Fanboys.